Yo, what up? Mic check 1 2. Yeah, we look good. Okay. Yep, this is my first political stream, and I'm new to streaming, so please bear with me. Um, but yeah, man, a week ago today, there was a crazy. Let me lower the music here a little bit. There was a fucking coup attempt, man, and then just now, Congress impeached Trump. Yeah, yeah, second president to ever be impeached, or first president to ever be impeached twice. Anyway, fucking wild, dude. Um, Give me a second here as I just double check all my mic and stuff. But I think we're good here. But yeah, it's been fucking crazy. It's been fucking crazy. This meme here. Let me switch to this meme here. Very much encapsulates how this week has felt, man. It's been fucking weird. It's been a lot. But yeah, this is my first political stream, so I'll try to make it quick since it's just me and no guests talking. But yeah, man, quick recap. Um, so yeah, last week a bunch of crazy QAnon people stormed the Capitol. I think 5 people died, one of which was a police officer. Um, and just so much shit has ensued since then. It's funny because I've gotten into arguments with particularly conservatives about how this isn't a fascist power grab. Um, yeah, hold up. Let me turn the music off here. Um, yeah, and put on other music. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. Hold up. Lower the volume there a little bit. But yeah, okay, so let's get into it. So I've been in arguments with conservatives about how this isn't fascism, and they're like, "Oh, it had no chance in hell. They were just insurrectionists storming the Capitol," and it's like, yeah, Hitler in the beer hall putsch was also an insurrectionist, right? Like they probably had no chance in hell of that coup succeeding, but it still fucking counts as a coup attempt. There's a lot of conservatives that are putting out these dumbass talking points. Yeah. I put out the I put out this Facebook status that was, "What happened today at the Capitol is the QAnon 2020 version of the brown shirts at the beer hall push." But it's also indicative of a nascent, leaderless, decentralized fascist movement in this country that is only going to coalesce and centralize in the next few years. Get ready to organize and fight back. That is important. And then this dude, I probably shouldn't be streaming his name, but whatever. This dude was like, "Not really. It's just a response to what's been happening all year. I don't think you have any idea what the term fascist means." And my response, "Ah, yes, a bunch of white supremacists attempting to install someone into power who didn't win an election and defy the rules of the republic doesn't sound anything like the beer hall push." So, yeah, man, it's been crazy. So there's that, and like just to I mean, like a lot of my friends have pointed out that like regular fascism is dumb. So like, you know, this regular fascism is dumb, so this might just be regular ass fascism as opposed to dumb fascism like I'm calling it. But one of the things that the reasons I like to call it the dumb beer hall push is because there's just so many like QAnon as a whole conspiracy is ridiculous. And then this. There's a dude who literally brought the country flag instead of the state flag to the Capitol. Yeah. I mean, like, for those of you who might not know it, the reason they would bring a Georgian state flag is because, they want Trump to recount the votes, and they want Trump to win Georgia. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So there's this nonsense. It's just insane. And so I think, let me see. I think the next point I have lined up here. Right now, my talking points are just social media. That's all I'm doing. Yeah. So I think these two are important right here. So let's start with this one. The the police. There's a lot of evidence of them letting in these insurrectionists or terrorists or what do you want to call them into the Capitol, just being like, yeah, it's cool. One. Two, now that everyone's being discovered, they're finding that a lot of them are just off-duty police, which like, oh wow, surprise. We didn't know that police were racist pigs. To quote Rage Against the Machine, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. And then like just to see, I mean, this has been pointed out to hell and back, but it bears repeating. The fact that the people, mostly white, people that stormed the Capitol, Vanilla Isis, stormed the Capitol, and like you look at, say, someone who is an insurrectionist on the left, you look at the movement like Black Panthers or MOVE in Philly. What happened to the Black Panthers? You had someone like, yes, thank you, Ivory Shinobi. The Rage lyrics are becoming more and more like reticent, pertinent, I don't know what the word is, to now, and like it's one of those things where it's like, did they ever go out of reticence, or were they always reticent and now it's just like on display nakedly? It's probably the latter. But yeah, man, so if we talk about like the Black Panthers and Fred Hampton, for instance, Fred Hampton was a young Black Hampton here in Chicago. The Black Panthers had a Marxist revolutionary program, and their program was to, their members were black, but their program was to struggle alongside of working people of every creed and color, men and women, black, white, yellow, he would say, and he was a revolutionary fucking figure, and he was murdered by the Chicago police at the age of 21, and that kid had like more theory and praxis, more theory and practice in his leftism, that's what praxis means, than I do. Like, he'd had more in his pinky than I do in my whole body. Like, it's insane. Ivory Shinobi says, they were going to perform this past September, talking about Rage Against the Machine in Paris, but then COVID happened and they canceled. Yeah, man, that really sucks. I was hoping that, given the current political climate, they would get back together and make new music. I know they were touring, but we'll see. But, yeah, man, even in, like, I don't know if it's that Rage song, but there's a little bridge where they talk about, I think they're quoting, like, COINTELPRO or some sort of government thing, and it's like, to take black nationalists and neutralize them or something like that. Anyway, yeah, Rage lyrics are, like, evergreen, unfortunately. The sad state of affairs. But yeah, so, like, the fact that the police, on the one hand, let these fucking people just trample on them and like come into the fucking Capitol to do this shit. Meanwhile, on naked display during the Justice for George Floyd movement and the Black Lives Matter movement over the summer, if you were at any, I was at several here in Chicago, the police were out in force. The fucking National Guard was downtown, and like we could not even march in a protest without having the National Guard and tanks and military Hummers in the streets, making sure we wouldn't turn the fuck up. And like, meanwhile, this is allowed to happen. It's insane. It's insane. And this really underscores that it's not just, it's dual fold. It's the function of the police in capitalism, and also the current police institutions as they exist were literally founded, they literally inherited the same people and institutions as two things: union busting outfits that would go around and literally beat the shit out of unions that were trying to strike, and two, slave patrols. That lets you know the history of the police system in this country, and our police system and policing under capitalism in general, as capitalism as it exists now, will always do this. This will always happen. There's nothing we can do about this except get rid of the police and get rid of capitalism. There's no like race training that'll help with this. Nothing. This is just the system nakedly on display. All right, next point. I think it was a tweet from my friend Gaurav. Yeah. Again, this is a similar point. He said they're complaining about looting from fucking Target. What do you call looting from Capitol Hill? And there's a bunch of conservatives that, are like, oh, these people, I don't claim them. And it's like, okay, how about you go after them as hard as you went after the folks that were looting Target and stuff, which, like, I don't really give a shit about big box stores. Who the fuck cares? Yeah, so that underscores that point. So this part, there is at least some of the people who were there at the riot that are getting their comeuppance. This guy's one of them. Let me pause the music so you can hear him. This is crazy. Hold on. Oh my god. Turn it up a little bit so you can hear this full. Oh my god. Let's turn this up for you. They stopped him at the airport, pulled him off a flight, and he's yelling, "You're treating me like a fucking black person." Anyway, so I'll pause that and lower the volume back down. Anyway, yeah. My tweet was, he said the quiet part out loud. He literally said the thing that conservatives think all the time, but don't say for fear of looking bad and losing face. He fucking said it out loud. Yes. They are being treated like fucking minorities and black people, and Muslims have been treated in airports. Welcome to what it's like, because you fucking were at a riot inciting fucking violence. Dr. Day, much of that looting was not protesters but opportunistic this summer. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, there was a lot of, so like, yeah, there were a lot of people who were going there. Like, for instance, there was, I know the what's the name of that auto store called? AutoZone. One of the things that kicked off the quote unquote looting during the Black Lives Matter protesters was the smashing up of an AutoZone. And there is on film a dude who's just like covered up. You can't see his face, a gas mask, full like black hazmat suit, umbrella, and has a hammer, and he's smashing up the AutoZone. And this was the first instance of looting in the Black Lives Matter protests. And that guy, I think it was like confirmed by people, like lefties that were there, like they do on Twitter whenever they confirm the identity of people that are at these protests. I think it was confirmed to be a fucking cop, an off-duty cop. So like, there's a lot of fucking cops and then like quote unquote anarchists that are doing shit like that. And so like, yeah, to Dr. Dami's point, yes, a lot of that is people trying to frame them. And even still, like, let's say hypothetically it's not, and it's just people are looting. In my opinion, that's righteous indignation. Like, if your lot in society is so fucked up that you are pissed enough to do that, I think in this case it is justified. Now, am I upset about like small businesses that got fucked up because the police precinct burned down and it caught fire next door? Yeah, that sucks. That's sad. But like, the people who had that happen to them were really understanding. The community came together and like rebuilt their like restaurants or whatever it was. I think it was like an Ethiopian or Somali restaurant or something. Anyway, this part is hilarious. I'm sorry, but I'm just laughing at this. So we're just going through like chronologically what happened. All right, so this is important. Companies like Coca-Cola now, because this is the cycle, right? Black Lives Matter happened over the summer, and then companies are being like, "Oh, we support Black Lives Matter. We put a Black Lives Matter hashtag on our Coke cans. That means we're allies." And it's like, that's not how anything works. But at least they're being intimidated into like donating to Black Lives Matter and at least like promoting the message. We can at least say that. That part's nice. But so Coca-Cola, they put out a statement being like, "Oh my God, what happened in Washington, D.C.? We find it an offense to the ideals of American democracy," right? Just to read it real quick, what they said: "For nearly 250 years, the United States of America has stood as a beacon for democracy." Shining a light on the world. Shining a light on the world. Do they mean like shining their fucking military all over the world? On how differing perspectives and ideas can strengthen society. We are stunned by the unlawful violent events that unfolded in D.C. With the election results now certified, we have faith in America's democratic institutions to ensure a peaceful transfer of power and allow the U.S. to move together as one nation. Okay, reminder. These are the same people that in 2003 literally hired hitmen to kill union leaders in Colombia, not Columbia, the college, or whatever city you think of in the United States, Colombia, the country, in South America. The like Coca-Cola workers in a bottling plant there were trying to unionize, and it was a huge struggle. And Coca-Cola literally hired fucking hitmen. Here, let's look it up. There's like fucking Guardian articles about this. Coco. Anyway, why am I typing in all caps? Colombia. Yep. So it's like this local. Wait, is that it? Yep, that's it. Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, look it up on your own time, but it's not good. It's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. Coca-Cola fucking low-key hired hitmen to fucking kill unionizing people. Fuck these people. They don't give a shit about democracy. Um, Also the fact that like Coca-Cola and Nestle like undermine local democracies around the world to get like water rights and sell them Coke and shit, especially in poorer countries. Let's keep that in mind. All right, next. So next little topic here. I'm trying to do like a lightning round just to get through everything. But this is actually fucking hilarious. All the all the apps that have banned Trump is fucking hilarious. So Facebook, Twitter, Google, Spotify. My man can't listen to Spotify anymore. Is that what's happening? That's the question. Is I don't know. I don't know if this means he cannot like have a profile on the platform and publish things, or if he can't even log into Spotify. But there's so many good memes. It was like, man, this man's phone is a brick. He can't do shit. He can't go on Spotify, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitch, Reddit. He can't do shit. Shopify. I don't know why that one really matters much. There's other ways to sell shit. Pinterest. I didn't know he was pinning things. This shit is funny as fuck though. Uh, so I used this as a pivot to there's a lot of folks on the quote unquote left that banned from Candy Crush next. Yeah. Oh God. Uh so so he got banned from Twitter and stuff, and then there's a few other right wingers that did too, and then there's this app called Parlay. It's spelled like the French verb of to speak, but people say parlor. I don't know. Parlor, whatever. Anyway, that app was kind of it was multi-community, but it was like a hotbed for fascist organizing, and a lot of the folks at the riot at the Capitol were using it. So it got kicked off of the Apple App Store and the Google Play, the Android App Store. And so I'm just gonna pull this up. There have been a lot of folks on the quote unquote left that are saying shit like this. My man put, they just banned Parler from Google Play and they're about to do the same on Apple after DC politicians demanded it. This is literally the fucking definition of fascism. Wake the fuck up. Okay, I say left in air quotes because this is not a real left take. One, this is not how fascism works. Fascism isn't the fucking neoliberal order banning fascists. Get the fuck out of here. That's not any clear definition of fascism. Anyway, so Cody Johnson responds to him, what is the definition of fascism? And then this guy responds, I don't know. What is it, Mr. Condescending White Man who asks questions he knows the answer to? Um, and so then people respond, and then he says, it's cute how you all love to ignore, quote, the merging of corporation with the government, end quote, part of the definition, which, let's make this clear. That is not part of the definition of fascism. The only person that has pushed that definition of fascism is literally Mussolini. You are taking Mussolini's definition. That's like taking the crack salesman's definition of like what is healthy for you. What is wrong with you? Why are you using Mussolini's definition of fascism? That is the dumbest shit in the world. Mussolini is literally trying to make it sound good by saying that, and you're taking it. No, the quote merging of corporation with government, end quote, that's just regular ass capitalism. I don't know what to tell you. Okay? That's regular ass capitalism. That ain't no fucking fascism. And then I responded here. Bro, one, that's a hacky ass definition of fascism. Two, there are so many better examples of corporate seizure of our government. This isn't corporate seizure of our government. This is, if anything, people pressuring the apps to do this. Us, the people, pressuring the apps to ban Trump. to fucking ban this Parler app, et cetera, and the government. It's not the corporation seizing the government. It's the other way around. Um, yeah, and this app, third point I made, the app that they banned, Parler, was exclusively, almost at least, used by fascists to organize. There's other little things that people used it for, but it was mostly used by these fucking right wingers. So this is literally an anti-fascist action. It's literally deplatforming them. This is literally how anti-fascism works. But there are folks on the left, nominally, who say shit like this, and I'm like, what basis in like actual thought does this have? This has no basis in thinking. This has no basis in thought whatsoever. And so this kicks off a talking point. There was recently a, I guess, argument I could say on my Discord between two friends of mine about this whole Twitter banning Trump thing. And is my next point about that? No. Um, my next point's good though. Let me say that before the Twitter banning Trump thing. So within this context of leftists being like, this is fascism to take away free speech from fascists, blah, 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 blah. Let's keep in mind historically what happened with Stalin and the left in Germany. Stalin, conservative ass motherfucker that he was, when it came to the Communist Party in Germany, part of the Comintern, right, the International Communists, told them to not worry about Hitler, to not partner up with the SPD, the social, the Social Democratic Party, to fight Hitler. He said, nah, look, Hitler will come to power, and if anything, that'll accelerate the ills of capitalism, and, there'll be a revolution or people will vote him out. That was Stalin's like official stance on the matter. And on top of it, he worked to divide the left in Germany, which obviously led my man Hitler, I should not say that, which led not my man, very not my man, Hitler come to power. So anyone else who's playing this little game, playing down the importance of the fact this was fascists trying to take over the government, and anything against them is just neoliberal capitalism fighting fascists, which even as a socialist, I think that's a good thing. If you are saying that this is not fascist and that putting down fascists is good, then you are playing a similar role as to what Stalin did at that time. Dr. Dami adds, it was also hacked and archived along with all users' social security numbers and driver's licenses that were required for profiles but were not secure. Ooh, that can either go well or poorly. I wonder how that's going to go. She's talking about Parler, the Parler app. But yeah, so on to the argument that happened in my Discord the other day. There were folks, I'm gonna pull the tweet up real quick. I threw this tweet out there. I had a friend who was like, I don't know, like I think banning Trump is like a weird precedent of like we need to talk about like these decisions and how they're made. And he was like on to something there, and I was trying to pull him in a left direction on that one. And this tweet points out the left direction I'm trying to pull him and really everyone in, where, quote, the real mistake isn't letting Twitter ban Trump, it's letting Twitter exist as a private entity, but y'all ain't ready for that talk. No, most people are not ready for that talk. The problem is that there is a select few people that get to enforce Twitter's terms of service, or what the community at large wants to see on Twitter and what's the community to be, right? The reason that Trump got banned now and not whenever the fuck he first violated the terms of service, or the third time, is because he was the president. He had the power to stay on there, and they didn't want to tempt fate on that one. The only reason they're banning him now is because of all this crazy shit in the backlash for it. That's the only reason, right? And so the thing with that is that if Twitter were controlled by, let's say, the users, democratically speaking, and or everyone who worked at Twitter, all employees, not just a small group of people who tend to be, the CEOs and owners and shit like that. If it were democratically controlled by the users and or the workers, I guarantee you they would have banned his ass long ago. And we talk about bringing things into public ownership. It's not even necessarily the government ownership when we say public, because government ownership under a capitalist system the capitalist government is still seized by the capitalists, so it's not going to be too much of a difference. But when we say public ownership, maybe a better paradigm while we're still existing under capitalism is to have the workers and or the users of an app like this democratically decide how shit is done. And I guarantee you, if that were the case, they would have kicked Trump and all these fucking right-wing fucker, Milo Yiannopoulos and all these people, they would have kicked them off long ago. And the point I was trying to make, and then there was a huge argument about, I don't really know what in my Discord, just around this. And I was trying to just simply make this point and saying like, look, Trump getting banned, I feel zero remorse for this. Some people are like, oh, it's trampling on our, it's showing a power grab. And it's like, no, it's not showing a power grab. They've always had this power. They being not just Twitter, but companies in general, the way that the law is applied in general in this country, terrorism laws, stuff like that, the police, this falls into the police conversation. It will always be used disproportionately against the left and people of color. And if you're both of those things, then it's 4 times as much, right? We saw earlier. And there's plenty of instances where there's like black leftists get banned on Twitter all the time. And nobody bats a fucking eye. But when it's Trump and the right, then people get into this whole thing. It's like, no, this has been happening to the left all the fucking time. Let's take this chance to at least celebrate that it's for once being applied in the other goddamn direction. That's how I feel about it. I'm like, okay, sweet, Trump's banned. That's awesome. It's good to see neoliberal capitalism go after fascists for once. And that's also how I feel about this impeachment shit. We could play this Kara Swisher bit, because I wholly agree with it. Yeah, fuck it, let's play it.
Big text moves against the president on social media with Kara Swisher. She's from the New York Times, host of the Sway podcast. Kara, thank you for joining us today. So the president's banned from Twitter, 88 million followers, banned from Facebook, 35 million followers. Parler appears to be getting shut down. What do you make of all this?
Well, this has been going on for a long time. President Trump has been violating rules all over social media for a long time, but they gave him a pass because he was considered a newsworthy figure. And now, then they started to label him, as you know, and that wasn't very effective. And he continued to press the game and game these social media companies. And then at this point, when he was part of incitement using their tools, they decided to shut him down finally. And of course, it comes at the end. This has been 4 years of this going on, and now at the end they finally realize how dangerous it is.
Yes. Yeah, look, Kara Swisher, I don't always agree with her, but she's usually an extremely smart commentator on these types of things. She's a tech, columnist, writer, and commentator. Normally, almost always, extremely smart analysis of these things, but she's 100% right here. Let's
label him, as you know, and that wasn't very effective, and he continued to press the game.
Right. So they tried flagging under it. Y'all remember all this shit, and it didn't fucking work. My man just kept doing the same bullshit over and over again.
These social media companies, and then at this point, when he was part of incitement using their tools, they decided to shut him down finally. And of course, it comes at the end. This has been 4 years of this going on, and now at the end they finally realize how dangerous it is because of what happened at the Capitol. So what's happening here is social media took way too long to deal with this issue, and of course it resulted in what happened.
Now you're seeing the president's son, his supporters complaining about censorship and double.
That's exactly correct. Social media took way too long to react to this.
They say that Twitter and Facebook don't knock the Ayatollah off Twitter. They're also saying that the president's First Amendment rights are being violated.
They're not. They're not being violated. These are.
They're not. They're not. That's it. They're not. It's Twitter. They're not. That's not how the First Amendment works. These people like to throw that at us all the time when a baker doesn't want to bake a cake for a gay couple or a black couple or some shit, and it's like, okay, cool. The freedom of speech is being racist and homophobic. Then you know what? This is way more freedom of speech. This is way more justifiable than that garbage. And they want to come at this.
Private companies, they are not public squares. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who are complaining, many of whom...
So there's an interesting point here. She says they're private companies and not public squares. And that's true. But there is an argument, and it's an interesting argument, that Twitter does play some form of public square role in society, and that social media does in general. And I think that is an interesting argument. And my response to that would be that like these spaces, if we do deem them some sort of digital public square, then they should be publicly controlled, bringing us back to the public control part, by the people. Anyway, Dr. Daniel says he can walk his ass to the briefing room anytime. He doesn't have to go to Twitter. I know, like, he's fine. He's fine. Meanwhile, like, the other people who are banned off Twitter are like disproportionately way less powerful than his ass. Like, get the fuck out of here. Although, like, working class, black, and like leftist people that get banned all the fucking time,
whom work in Congress, haven't really read the First Amendment, which says Congress shall make no law
Right.
against abridging freedom of speech.
Right.
It doesn't say that that Facebook or Twitter or Apple or anybody should make no law. They can do whatever they want. They're private businesses.
Right.
Very similar to a restaurant where someone comes in and rants and starts to threaten violence and things like that. They get kicked out.
Right.
And so this is a private enterprise, and a lot of their arguments.
Yeah. So this this is an important point, because like it is a private app. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And the question is, like, it's more of a question of them not enforcing the terms of service equitably. The terms of service get enforced on like black leftists all the time, right? Like all the fucking time. And yet like these like rich ass fucking like fashy ass motherfuckers don't get shit applied to. Like, get the fuck out of here. Why doesn't that happen? I mean, because it's a power dynamic, and that's how capitalism always prefers people of the right wing than people of the left wing. People of the right wing are okay with capitalism existing. People on the left wing are not. That's just how it works, unfortunately. But it's an important distinction. The conversation here is more about, I'm celebrating that Trump got banned and all this stuff. It's fucking awesome. Hell yeah. But then, like, okay, you want to talk about control and stuff? It's been that way for decades. It's been that way, you know, and it's been, you know, like, black folks since fucking the beginning of this country have lived under a police state, right? It's like, yeah, these power dynamics have existed. Just because they're being applied to Trump doesn't mean that all of a sudden now they're like, oh, we have this, it's a power grab. It's like, nah, man, nah, this has always been the case. But so, yeah, we need to have a conversation about like bringing companies like this that play a big role in people getting news and having conversation. Twitter, I think it is a decent point to make that Twitter can be seen as some sort of public square. It is a private company, of course it is, but it's starting to take on the role of a public square. And we need to societally have a conversation about whether or not we want to consider it as such. I think that's a legitimate conversation to have. And whether or not it is or isn't, should come under the control of either its workers and users or the public writ large, in either instance, respectively. I don't want to talk about this just because it's too much. And then motherfucker got impeached again. Only president to get impeached twice. Again, that like, there are a lot of people on the left that are like, impeachment is a distraction from Medicare for All, which is a fucking weird take. Ooh, Chrono Trigger. Nice, it's on sale. Look at that. They know exactly what to advertise to me. Damn. Anyway. There's a lot of people on the left that are like, impeachment's a distraction from Medicare for All, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, I am down with trying to struggle for Medicare for All as hard and as soon as possible, but that is a weird take. Impeaching this guy is actually pretty important because he is the like cult of personality around this, I don't want to say fascist, but let's, for lack of a better term, say fascist movement. And if we can pin him down as much as possible, the more we take down this movement. I think with or without him, it'll coalesce over the next 4 years, especially if the Democrats do more tepid centrist bullshit. That said, without him, it might be a little harder for them to coalesce. And also keep in mind that if he gets impeached, which we'll see, if he gets, kicked out, he got impeached, he will not receive the presidents get a pension of like $200,000 and something a year and Secret Service for their life. And if he's kicked out of office, he gets neither of those things. And he can't run for office again. Any office, I think, is how it works. At least not the fucking president. So yeah, the people who are saying that this is a distraction from Medicare for All, I would disagree. I think I think both are important if we're gonna go after this. If we're gonna try to take the wind out of the sails of this fascist movement, it's as simple as that. We have to focus on both. Is it likely to happen that they kick his ass out? I don't think so. But should try, and also like work our asses off to get things like Medicare for All passed. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of like drama around AOC and all that stuff right now that I don't want to get into now, but while I agree with them strategically on trying to force the vote for Medicare for All, I do not agree with a lot of folks on the left, in air quotes, that are like trying to like characterize her as like not helping us or whatever. I think that's super wrong and fucked up. Anyway, impeachment happening. This is good. This is good. The question is, can they get him, the hearing going? I am very doubtful. There's someone I followed, speaking of people who think that the impeachment doesn't really mean much. This is a person I follow on Twitter that's just a left person that said that this really is just symbolism, which like, if they are able to actually kick him out of office, it's not. But if they are not, then he's correct. It is kind of just a symbolic gesture. This follow-up tweet is really why I pulled this up. He said, before y'all say anything, 1, a trial won't happen before Trump leaves. I think that's probably true. 2, a Trump conviction requires a 2/3 majority of the Senate. Even if all the Dems supported it, they'd still need 17 Republicans. Also true. 3, for Trump to be barred from public office, he must first be convicted. Yeah, those are all true, unfortunately. So we'll see how this plays out. I don't know, man. I've made my thoughts known. So yeah, I'm gonna bounce. I need to get ready for another stream, but thanks all for watching. I'll be streaming in about half an hour with a good friend, but yeah, this is the first of many political streams that I'll be doing. I'll try to do them weekly in differing formats with differing guests and differing topics. Thank you for watching.